Nazi propaganda war miracle weapon, the wunderwaffe, the fantasy war machine of the Nazis. Every government, William Shatner paused, every government produces propaganda that's supposed to strike fear and awe and shock and awe in people. Dropping Moabs on an empty building scares the crap out of your opponent so you don't have to shoot anymore. The best weapon, the most powerful weapon, is fear, uncertainty, doubt, ignorance, anger. They're all your weapons, not just for the coming apocalypse that you keep claiming happens. So, Haunebu, 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 Haunebu. Haunebut, not Haunebu. Somebody forgot the letter T, badly translated. Haunebut also means Nebetui, not Haunebu. There's a video out there sort of trying to prove that the propaganda machine had a film crew. Considering Nazi Germany essentially did the first radio television broadcast we know of that is verifiable, and filmed shit incessantly, there should be a film of a developing space saucer UFO Nazi attack ship. The thing they had that would come in from orbit, it's called the V2. It was one of the first things that was capable of going into orbit. They also made another aircraft that would literally, it would go into orbit. It couldn't re-enter because it would burn up. They hadn't figured out how to make a heat shield yet. They were absolutely notorious for that, and also for their scientists being grabbed by everybody, including the United States and Russia, both sides. Russia, to make nuclear warheads and weird aircraft, which in some cases we just flat out copied, including some circular freaking aircraft that were actually an attempt at getting a helicopter to have a cowling around it and trying to make it more efficient. Didn't work. Helicopters work really good by themselves. They're totally, perfectly, rationally designed too. I mean, it's not... Only a human would invent a helicopter, I mean, really. But anyway, Robert Ardent one? A-R-N-D. Robert. Yo, Rob. Non-scientific, non-historical, Third Reich mythology, Nazi mysticism, propaganda fanboy. Supporting his arguments on Wikipedia by citing his own book, which isn't just original research, the in-joke about Wikipedia, but self-promotional horse shit. His book happens, and book and postings include misspellings and mistranslations of German words and phrases, proving his inability to extract facts from anything concerning the subject. Is the opinion of many people who posted there. Thank you, Wikipedia, for having a self-archiving function I can go access. Now, the German retranslation, I could go through this if I wanted to, but the fact is somebody created a meme and decided to give it a name so that they could have a copyright to it. If you invent a word, a name, you can claim a copyright on it. You can't claim a copyright on history, especially if you're misquoting it. So making a misspelling that's off by one letter, Haunebut, taking off one letter, is a weak, very weak copyright claim. You're basically claiming your misspelling is copyrightable. Sort of like Sangstar misspelling cosmophobia and making himself look like an idiot. And just like him, I'm going to warn you ahead of time, because the guy's alive, the person making these assertions. There's a Wikipedia article that says, well, there's a lot of background to this. The stories came out in the 1950s. There was a lot of equipment out of Nazi Germany that was getting declassified or just copied. the Russians had military people that were leaking information all the time, also for propaganda reasons. So did we. Both sides. Both sides. Russia, Russia, Russia. And, yeah. We tried reproducing these designs. Flying saucers are not a practical shape for aerial phenomena to use. They're not. The only thing I know that could do that would put up with it, would be a piece of equipment that doesn't care about getting really dizzy. If you want to take advantage of the golf ball effect, you want to spin that disc. If you're not going to spin a disc shape, it's a shit shape to make an airfoil out of. If you're claiming the damn thing uses propulsion that doesn't require aerodynamics, it doesn't have to be round like a disc. It would be a sphere or a cube like the Borg, because you don't fucking need aerodynamics because you're using gravity. UFOs that are saucer-shaped are always wrong. They're based on the fact that you can make an airfoil shape like that, but it's spinning. The spinning action causes it to have it's a Bernoulli effect thing and a bunch of other things. Yes, there are airplanes that were made by every side, all sides, make aviation great again, that contained circle-shaped parts. But the reason they're not used for your jetliner going across the ocean, or for your hang glider, or for a any other aerodynamic required piece of equipment where you want to get efficiency and stability out of it, is because it's inefficient and it's unstable. And no, there isn't any amount of fucking with it that's going to make it better than some other shape. On the other end of it, people show the broken, wings ripped off version of, what is its name? Yeah, the Horton Ho 229. Folks, that Ho over there. Anyway, yeah, it was an airplane that looks almost exactly like the stealth fighter basic blueprint. It's a flying wing design. That's what they did. They did flying wing designs that didn't get into orbit, and they did rockets that did. That's all. It's really a boring subject matter. And they got really freakishly, just terrifyingly good at it. And, yeah, everybody headhunted, literally, all of their scientists. Oh, you'll be safe in America. One giant jail. Oh, you'll be safe in Russia. One giant jail. You really don't think that? Just, yeah, anyway. No, they were grabbed and said, no, we're not going to kill you. You're just going to make us all sorts of toys. And yeah, a lot of those ended up at Area 51, because where else are you going to test something that might freaking blow up and kill the pilot and not want to admit it? Are you single? Are you an orphan? Cool, we'll make you a test pilot. That way we don't have to admit you died. That happened in Russia and the United States both. But no, if you want to, you can look up channels making. They're basically circular flying wing designs. They're not symmetrical. They have a leading edge on the front. You can make one that's kind of like that, but it just doesn't work very well. It can be made stable just like a Frisbee. Frisbees operate off a set of principles, but they rotate on their axis. The only way to do that would be to do a flying wing, basically a drone with computer and AI systems to use thousands of cameras to make a stable image forward. You have a wraparound Google 360 video thing going on. That's great. But the reason we don't do that is we don't need to, and it's still a shit design, even if you rotate it. It's not what you think it is. Making something shaped like a boomerang and not spinning it will fly, because it does. We found that out. And that brings up my next point. You know that throwing disc, the Frisbee? Okay. But boomerangs work better if they're not round, and they fly better. But it's not appealing to the sci-fi crowd. People want flying saucers. The origin story for the flying saucer shape is because, if you're not aware of it, it's really easy to get a hubcap and spray paint it and use it in a sci-fi movie. It's an extremely simple shape. It also means that no matter what angle you film it from, you can say it's the front, back, or sides. I'm not kidding. That is the reason every sci-fi movie uses the round-shaped flying saucer thing. If you make it shape and position any other way, you have to match moves to what people expect from bird flight, because everybody's seen birds and toy planes fly around. Nobody knows what a circular ship looks like when it's navigating, so that's why they do this weird thing where they go up and down. That's why every UFO video shows a flat disc going straight up, which contradicts the reasoning for it to ever be aerodynamic. That's the polar opposite of aerodynamic. If you see a UFO video where it goes straight up and down, or it bobs up and down in comparison to the background, that proves it's fake. Why would you do that? It's a waste of energy. Even if you're doing it as gravimetrically pulsed with red mercury, or red matter, or your mom's biscuits. Whatever you're powering it off of, unicorn farts, it's still going to use more energy that way. Unless you make it have, oh, I don't know, a force field that's completely round. Well, at that point, why would you have any shape requirement? Well, it lands better. No, it doesn't. None of that actually makes any sense. The only thing I know of that shows this is the maneuverability of a hot air balloon. You know, not a weather balloon, but a hot air balloon. They're round because that's a better shape, because they can't orient them one way or another. When you have the ability to do so, like an airship, you make it cigar-shaped. The cigar-shaped UFO beam actually has a little bit of legs, but then they show it doing all sorts of things that contradict the aerodynamics too. It's one of the dead giveaways. I don't mention it in the videos because I don't have to. It's counterintuitive to make an aerodynamic shape and then not use that aerodynamics, even if you claim your non-aerodynamic shape of a disc is. So, to review, no, the Luftwaffe did not make their Wunderwaffler airplanes shaped like that for that reason you're thinking of. Making go one direction and having the definitive front and back is useful. Now, there is a reason for the shape that's not to do with aerodynamics. If you made it a completely round shape and managed to get the thing to fly at all, you could make it to where every direction you aim a radar beam at, it would be hard to pick up. And you could also deliberately make it covered with a faceted surface, maybe under a clear plastic or whatever, like we would do these days, that takes the light from the sky and focuses it outward so it blends into the sky, and then reflects literally that around the surface for a stealth imaging kind of thing. Maybe. I mean, they were working with that. They were actually working with holometer effects to make airplanes not visible by having them dynamically change their brightness compared to the background, including using light meters and light bulbs to do that. I forgot where I found that, but that's actually one of their experiments they were doing. That would actually be kind of appealing if you could get it act like a light pipe, pick up the light on the top, project it downward and outward, and make it blend into the sky. It would still be visible as hell if you got over the top of it, but maybe you could light pipe the ground up. Anyway, it would just end up looking like a droplet of water moving through the air from above, and from below it would actually blend in. This has got a lot more legs to it, and there is some basis for it, but there's very little of that. They only experimented with it long enough to figure out they couldn't do it. The round wing, there is a couple of round wing designs, the SAC AS6 and that sort of thing, but they put it through wind tunnel testing and actual toy testing. They built toy models, didn't work. The U.S. government did a couple of them like that, but they ended up making hovercraft out of them. Helicopters work better. Aerodynamics violations don't. But anyway, this is Third Reich Nazi mythology, mysticism, and propaganda fanboying. And this guy has been the main drive behind it, mostly. Yes, there's a history to it. You can look up all the other links below. But that's the one I found that's the most annoying and aggravating one. He's the one who's the author of all the images I'm not allowed to use because he'll take the video down. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.